Okay, so we decided to come back for round 2 in case you needed any clarification, because as we sat here and we're talking about things, it's just such a fascinating process, and much of it could be missed on your end. And so as I was telling Jen about how my life has progressed and how much I was having to do in 2010, and that since then now I've moved, and having made that move, everything was new. There was no routine in my life, and I then went into developing some routines just for some level of comfort, and yet I knew that it was not the habits and routines that I really wanted in my life. And so it was really a reminder to just really come from that place of joy and dance and freedom, and really just experiencing life each day as a brand new day, not with so much structure within it. So I think that's the real message that was coming through, and it made total sense for what was going on in my life. And so then that also led us to talking about when Jen did a reading for my mother, and the first thing that it said was that she needed to listen to thunder in her car. And talk about throwing Jen for a loop. And it's like, why? And Jen said, oh, do you enjoy nature and thunder? And she's like, no, I hate it, you know. And everything she asked was like, no. But by the time we got it, and I think it's that shock value of it being something so outrageous that you're supposed to do, that it really makes you search for what the answer is, and it made complete and total sense by the time we got to the end of it, which was all about, it was a way for her to be more present to the fears in her life and release them. So that's what her body was saying, is do something that you're naturally fearful of and get accustomed in a safe environment.
In the car, in the garage, in the safe environment.
With it being an audio of it, not actual thunder. It was an audio of thunder. And so then she could become more used to it and not be so afraid of it. But yes, it was all about, by the time we got to the end of that one, it was all about fear and letting go of fears, and it makes so much sense. But again, at the beginning, it's very often
something completely off the map, or it is something, depending on the person, it can be something very gentle and let them in. You know, if they're not quite sure about what's going on, it can be very gentle to let them in. The people that need the shock, that's kind of where it comes from. It's all based on what you need rather than, it's not going to make sense to me most of the time. But it will make sense to you on whatever path that you are on, and getting you looking at a different path, looking more in depth at the path you're on. It just kind of allows you to really examine all aspects of things in a way that you weren't quite prepared for often.
Oh, because one of the things that mine had was that I was to suck on peppermint while meditating to sounds of rushing water. And so as she's asking my body, well, would a little, brook be okay? One of those little ones, that you sit on your desktop. Waterfall. No. My body was no. So it was very funny, because I'm like, thanks a lot, body, that you're asking for this outrageous request, because I live in Fargo, and it was fall, so we were just heading into winter. Where am I going to be able to sit outside and enjoy this sound and do some meditation? And what I needed to tell you is that just this last week, before I came back for this visit, I was on a hike up Sabino Canyon, and there was this gushing water, and so beautiful day. So I went and sat on this rock and did my little meditation, and I didn't have any mints with me because I don't travel with mints, but other than that, I gave my body what it needed. So it's a good step.
It does make sense. I mean, it may not make sense that day. It may be a year later or 2 years later that the situation kind of presents itself where everything lines up and you get exactly what it is that your body's asking for, or it is the end result of you making all of these other steps to get to that point. So it's really a nice culmination of listening to yourself, learning how to hear your own language, which is so different from anybody else's, and being able to follow your own path versus what you think you're supposed to do, what you feel you're supposed to do, but really doing what is right exactly for you at the time.
Which, so for me, or the original thought that my body had and wanted to express was this concern for a friend of mine and her health needs and concerns. And so it was sort of like, I wonder why that came up. And so it was either the close proximity to my thinking of her and wishing her well, or it's also in the fact that this was going to be something broadcast, and it was something that some listener needed to hear. That there are other ways to look at different illnesses and how to go about different ways of healing.
Yeah, exactly. It can be, most of the time our body just needs to be heard in a different way. And a lot of times with conventional medicine, which it has its very significant place in all our lives, but it does sometimes mimic the responses and lowers our body's natural responses, whereas what B.E.S.T and a lot of the alternative options, they help to provide you with opening up those same responses that you've been trying to suppress. So if you're having issues with a painful shoulder, well, let's look more at what kind of burdens you're carrying along with everything else. There's usually an emotion tied to most parts of the body. So when we create illness or when we have situations or things that hurt, it's oftentimes based in our emotions, based in our life situation, based in old patterns. So a lot of it is taking a chance and moving your body into a different way, shocking it a little bit, gently moving it a little bit, depending on what is fit for you. So it's just a matter of being able to move it into a different way of looking at things.
All right. Thank you.